So I'm going to show you the $7 funnel that's making creators right now in 2025 hundreds of $1,000s a month. And honestly, there's a lot of brands right now that are doing millions of dollars a month with this. And I'm about to give it all away, so the gurus are going to hate me. But basically, who am I? I'm Ro. I have a business called partnerandlodge.com, and we basically work with creators and we go on a rev share basis typically. So I don't need many creators. I'm not selling any courses or anything like that. I'm giving all this away for free. And so I've been in this space about 4 or 5 years. I've started off as a closer, so I worked for a lot of the big businesses that were doing a million a month, and I was doing sales calls. Then I started managing sales teams and setting teams and doing marketing and the VSLs. And so I've seen all these patterns that are across every course, coach, expert, whatever you want to call them, right? And so I'm going to show you in this video the problems, the problems you're doing right now, and why they don't work and why it's the old way. And I'm going to show you the new way, which I call the buy funnel. And this is a funnel actually that it's it's a funnel that I've learned from people who are not on the social media and they were doing 300K, 500K a day with this same process, right? Now, I'm going to show it and give it all away, but it's something that's been working for, 15, 20 years. And so this is something that, like, for me, that I wish I kind of learned earlier, but this is the thing that all the big businesses that are doing 3 million, 5 million, 10 million a month, etc., are all following this, right? And so I'm going to show you that. I'm also going to show you example, the ad scripts. I'm showing you exactly how it works, the landing page, etc., and how to structure this so that you can do this yourself. Yeah, let's get into it. So the first thing I want to kind of go over is the problem, right? The problem you have right now with the business. So first thing I have here is posting nonstop, hoping it leads to sales, right? And so a lot of people have this thing, and it's because of a certain name that we all know, right? That says volume fixes everything. And so one thing I found is with a math problem, right? You can't solve it with more math, right? And so let me give you an example. So if I have a product, right, I'm like it's too expensive. So how do I solve this math? Let me make it super cheap. Let me make it $2, $5, right? Let's say it's $2, right? So I'm gonna sell my product for $2, which means everyone can afford it, right? And so let me get it out there. And now I just need volume, right? So let me just like push volume. So I'm gonna start running ads everywhere. I'm gonna start telling my friends and knock on people's doors and give it away. Like whatever I'm gonna do, right? It's just a volume game, and that will fix things. And the problem is economics, right? So economically, if it's $2, the thing that I have to sell, but it costs me, the ads, the ad spend, the people to get out there and sell that thing, right? It's going to cost a lot more than $2. And so math can be solved with volume, right? That's the key. And so you're probably asking like, well, what do I do then, right? So how do you fix a math problem? And so like I had this whole thing for, hundreds of offers I worked on over the years. I used to tell people go for high ticket, and it used to work, and it still works, but it's very inconsistent because most people don't know this, but only 10% typically in the market, depends on the economy and etc. Typically, only 10% of people can afford a high ticket, right? Just economically in the world, right? Specifically in the US, I say right now. And so it just doesn't make sense. So, like, if you've ever sold anything, you probably realize it's always this ratio 1% of your audience goes to high ticket. And so that's getting more and more difficult when we're in a period of time where people don't really have much savings, etc. And so, like, I remember, like, 4 years ago, straight after COVID, I was getting calls of people. We were selling something for 8K to consumers, right? And they had 5K, 6K, 8K, 10K of liquid, right? And these are just consumers, not even business owners, right? And over the past year or two, right, it's completely changed, right? That's why everyone's going for financing and clan and all these things, right? And so let me kind of share this with you, right, to make this because this is super important, right? So first thing I want to say is why doesn't it work? Like just posting, etc. That's what a lot of people do, right? So posting builds attention, but not trust to buy, right? So if you post, you get attention, but it doesn't mean I trust you that I'm going to buy from you, right? Now a percentage of people will, but that's not the primary goal of it, right? And there's also no next step for followers to take, right? So there's a lot of people you probably notice if you make content that will just keep following you, but they won't do anything, right? And so it's like shouting into a crowd with no booth, no offer, no checkout button, right? So that's a key thing. Let me sort of give you an example, right? It's like if you had a concert, right, and you had no merch table, right? So the crowd's hyped, like like you've got followers, you've got fans there, but you've got no merch table for people to buy anything, right? And so you leave with nothing, right? And so no matter how many times you shout, you are the best person in the world, like they are the best fans, right? They're not going to buy anything because there's nothing on the table, right? So this is like the first type of person, the first type of creator, coach, expert I see, where they're just constantly making content, right? And so it's just because of being told from certain people that don't really think through this stuff, right? And so $7 offer, which I go into, acts as your digital merge table. It captures the buyers in the moment and starts a trust loop, right? So I'll get into this in a moment of how we do this with the buy funnel, but this kind of teases it a little bit. We have a simple low ticket digital product in the front end that solves one specific problem. Now, there's a right way of doing this, and I'll share this in a second. But if you do this right, it will capture more than 10% of these people, right? Because typically people can afford the $7, $10, etc. thing than your $5,000 thing to begin with, right? So, second thing I want to go into here is the launching high ticket offers to cold leads. So this is something that I've done for a long time. I mean, I've done things like DM people straight into literally a few messages straight into account lead, then get on the phone with them and then one call close them, right? And I've done this. And I saw something even with no offer. I used to call it like an air offer, right? Where you begin to validate a brand new offer and you have nothing built out and you just sell something, right? You just make it up, right? And so this is probably the second thing you're wondering, like, okay, well, if like, if I don't, like I make content, but like I'm actually just trying to sell people on a high ticket thing, well, I'll say why this doesn't work, right? And so let me sort of go down here. So no buying history equals no trust, right? So this is the big thing that most people think. So it's like if they follow me enough, if I just talk enough, right? I have a history with them. Yes, you do, but you don't have a buying history, right? So that means there's no trust in buying from you, right? It feels like too much risk for someone who just discovered you, right? And I would even argue that even if they've discovered you for a while, unless you do this for a long time, which you typically don't have as a business owner, right? It's too much risk for them. So most of your audience isn't ready to drop to 2K, 3K, 5K, 10K. They're curious, not committed. And you've probably seen this, right? Like there's a lot of people that like message you, DM you, or see all these things, maybe even getting calls with you, but they're curious. And so then you have to go through this whole process, which I've went through, where you have to try and hard sell people through, going through the whole emotional loops, etc. But or even logic trap people, but it just doesn't work well. It's not a good business, and it's just not sustainable, right? And so let me give you another example. It's like proposing marriage on the first date, right? Like you've skipped the entire relationship, right? Like think about that, right? And so a lot of times we're so stuck in this business stuff of like, oh, I'm DM people, I'm running ads, I'm selling this offer, right? That we don't even think about in life, like how do we go through this process, right? Like you can't just skip through and go to marriage, right? It doesn't work like that. So the fix here is start the relationship with a no-brainer $7 offer, right? And then ascend them once the belief and desire are built, which I show you how to do this automatically, right? And so hope this is starting to tease a little bit of like why this works and why these things don't work, right? So next one I have here is next problem is giving away tons of value with little to show for it, right? So I just want to drill this in because this is super important that most people like. I want to shift your belief on this because once you see it and you don't see and you see it the way I see it here, this will make sense for you, right? And so, no structure or system to turn content into income, right? So content does not equal income, right? They're two separate things. You're training your audience to expect free and not become buyers, right? This is a super key thing, right? You can actually train your audience to expect free and not become buyers. And actually, the more free you give, the more free they want, right? And so views, value, if no transaction out, right? So another example here, it's like handing out free samples every single day, but not forgetting to sell the full product, right? Like I had this on my story the other day where it's like, if you had a coffee shop, right? And you're like, how do I get customers? Let me just give away free coffee every morning, right? So you give away free coffee, like I come in, expect free coffee, like thank you, right? And then the next day you give free coffee again, and next day you give free coffee again. Like every time they come, do you expect them? Like what do you expect them to do? Do you think they're gonna magically be like, let me just pay you now, right? Or they're gonna keep expecting free, right? And so like, it's like people are gonna be trained into the way that you treat them, right? So your free content should lead directly to a low ticket product, something to signal, I solve real problems, and here's your first step. And the key here is like if you solve one specific problem, right, one part of a bigger problem that you solve to the outcome they want, right, then you solve that problem, and now they trust you, right, and they've paid the low ticket because they can. They don't need huge trust to pay you $7, right? Now they're like, who do I go to next? It's you, right? And so let me give you an example. It's like if you have a fitness offer. It's like don't try and sell them on training immediately, right? And I mean, like, what do they want first? Like, maybe the biggest thing is like, how do I eat the right amount of calories, right? Or how do I eat the right meal? So you have a meal prep plan for them specifically, so much value, exactly how to do it. They can consume it, 5 minutes, 10 minutes a day, or a 60-minute training or something like that. That's $10, right? And now once they've done that, they're like, oh, by the way, like, how do I, like, what do I do for my workout plan, right? Now you're like, well, actually, I have this other thing, or I actually can just do this for you if you customize for you if you work one-on-one with me or group setting or whatever it is, right? And so they're more likely to actually do that. So all that makes sense. Next thing I want to share here is DMing people all day to book sales. So this is a super big thing right now in the market, and that's because there's um, certain people in the space that have done, doing 2-3 million a month, kind of push this whole setting model. But DMing people all day to book sales calls. So why doesn't this work? It's exhausting, hard to scale, feels like pressure for both sides. Most people aren't ready to get on the call, they need belief first, right? It's probably the thing that you've heard, right? The more you study psychology and copywriting and sales and persuasion, it's like there's two beliefs that you have. First belief is on the way that you help people, right? So if you're selling a fitness offer, right, and they believe that they're genetically they can't lose weight, right, you have to get rid of that belief first, right? Another example I can give you is like if they don't believe in keto, right? And you're trying to sell keto, you have to sell them on the belief of why keto works, proof of it working, and why scientifically it works, and why it'll work for them. Then once it is, then you sell the second belief, which is your product is is how to use keto for yourself, right? And so it's two beliefs. Example here, it's like walking up to strangers on the street, asking them if they want to talk about refinancing the house. It's just weird, right? So fix is let a $7 offer start the conversation for you. Then it filters buys, warms them up without pressure, right? So the one thing that you'll find is if you, like, once you do this, right, this buyer funnel, you get it set up, it filters buyers, right? So all the people are now committed, right? They're all now solving a very specific problem, right? And they'll get help with it, and they'll actually consume it because we do it in that way. And it warms them up and nurtures them and makes them trust you. And it also, by solving their problem, that specific problem, they create a new problem. So like once if I give you a script, if I give you an ad script, right? I use the ad script and it's working. Now you're like, how do I scale the ads? Or how do I make more creatives? Or how do I point myself? How do I sell people, right? So it just creates more problems. And that's what leads into them paying you more, which is really what business should be about. So now you're probably thinking about, okay, like how do I actually like do this and what should I do then, right? All these things don't work. So the buyer funnel, first thing is a simple no-brainer $7 product, right? So I'm going to share this with you actually. Let me go here. So this here is the new model, right? So what if instead of leads or followers, you had buyers, right? What if you had a simple $7 offer that brought in paying customers every single day without needing to post 24/7, right? And you might sound like, okay, there's no way that's possible. I'll show you an example how this works. And what if those buyers were automatically, right, key thing, upgraded into your high ticket program using a system pays for itself from day one, right? Now this is a key thing that pays for itself from day one. So one thing I found is when you sell something high ticket, right, it's $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, right? You need to, we used to work on people with start off webinars. Then it was, like an IG funnel where you get followers. That process, you would have to spend $500, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 to test to see if your system works to get in clients, right? Because you'd have to spend, like if you have a 3, 5, 10K offer, you have to spend at least $500 to $2,000 to acquire the client, right? Just naturally, right? So even a B2C offer, like a fitness offer, I've worked with many fitness coaches, they'll have a 2K or 3K program, right? And they'll have to spend at least $500 to acquire the client. So they have to spend $500 first to see if it works, right? Now, when you do this, a low ticket, right, $7, how much is it probably going to cost you? Maybe $20 to $30. So you can spend $100 today and find out if it's validated, it's going to work or not, right? So it's really easy. Like you can get things running in a week. And so that's how we scale, not with content, but with math, right? So We basically create a simple, no-brainer, $7 product, gets your followers to buy, right? And we can also use ads, but we start with organic. Then the funnel pays for itself before you spend $1 on ads, right? Again, we start organic. Then we upsell those buys into high-ticket offers automatically. And this is where we basically use strategic content and emails to do this. Now, I can share another video how we do this and a bit more detail on how this works. But it's a $7 offer into a buy list, and we go for back-end sales, and this is automatic, right? So as you can see here, the funnel pays for itself, and we upsell those buyers into high ticket. Now, this is the key thing, right? So once here, there's two ways. One way is you'll do this, and in certain markets, and just depends on how good your copy is and your offer, etc., and just competitive and supply and demand, you can break even on this or even make money on this. And if you do, it's great. But the key thing is, even if you don't, right? So let's say you spend $100 and you get $80 back, so you lose 20, but you get 10 new customers and one of them turns into a high ticket, right? Now it's cost you $20 to get 10 leads, right? That's $2 a lead, right? And one of them can turn into a high ticket, typically 10 to 20%. And so normally when you're paying $500 to $1,000 to get a high ticket client, it's impossible to scale that. Like, that's why you're struggling, right? So this is why even if you lose money, right? And on average, I'll probably aim for like a 70 to 80% liquidation on this. So you might spend, if you spend $100 a day, you get back 80, right? And now you've got 10 buyers, right? Or whatever it is. So this is how it works. So I want to show you an example now, just so I can drill this in and show you an example in a complete different offer, complete different space, right? And I'll show you more of these. But this is the business called Strategic Parenting, and they do this, right? And so I want to show you the ads. So these are the ads, right? And also I can also do another video on the ads and how to script them out. But these are the ads. So there's no way there's a way to get your kids to listen without yelling, right? It's not what you think. So this is for parents on their kids who have ADHD typically, and they're selling a low ticket, right? So it's a 28-day no yelling parenting challenge, right? So once you click this, you go to this. This is the landing page. Now this landing page, again, I can show another video of how we create these, how we do this for partners, but it's super simple, right? Is kind of, if you've never done landing pages, if you don't understand a copy, this might seem a little bit difficult for you, but really this is broken down into headline, right? This is a structure to it. This is for the avatar, right? Then you have a little VSL. This is for you. So who this is for, the benefits, right? Simple image, right? And then we go into a little bit more copy here. And then we go into why this program is effective, right? And then we go to proof. A little bit more stuff. We ask to buy, show more benefits. We go into bonuses, exactly what you get, right? There's the bonuses, and then FAQ, and then back call to action again, right? So it's super simple. Like, we can create these, like we get this done in like 2-3 hours. And especially with AI now and just like landing page templates that we have, we can get this up and running like super quick. And so what this does here is this is what converts the people into buying the challenge. And so once you click this, if you go here, you can click this, right? You see it's a $28, right? So you can charge $5, $7, $17, $25, $37, $49, whatever it is. We can test that. But once you click this, you put your email in, then they'll have a upsell, right? So they'll have 1 or 2 upsells typically. So now there's $28. They'll probably have a 97 or 47 and then a 197. And so the average order value, right, for a customer might go to $40, $50, and it's probably costing them $30, $40, $50 to get a client, get a customer, right? So this is a process, and this is in a complete different market, right? But this can be used in fitness, right? This 5-minute daily habit to eat the right amount of calories every single day so that you lose weight without exercising, right? 9 out of 10 parents, 9 out of 10, blah, 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 right? Like, it's super simple. This is for you if you're in your 30s, you're 20, 30 pounds overweight, blah, 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 right? So this is how we do it. This is the process you want to follow. If you have any sort of questions on any of this stuff, or maybe like how exactly, like what products do I do? So I can show you exactly what products to make, how we do that. We can use AI as well. How we create this funnel, right? How we create the ads, anything like that you want to know, let me know. I'll create videos on it. And if you want more help, you can always DM me. I'll put my link to my Instagram below. Just DM me if you want any help. I have a lot of trainings and courses and stuff I can give away as well for free. So if you want them, let me know. And if you want more help and if I have space for a creator, let me know. We can work together and we can get this built for you and we can put it on a rev share basis. Other than that, peace.